Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Banks, not Fat Albert. I was just kidding about that whole thing, man. But this is another episode of the Powwow. Thanks for tuning in. It's your boy Jay Banks. I got my guy AI over here. What's cracking,
what up,
bro?
guys? How we doing?
What's going on?
Man, I'm excited today,
I almost
man.
dropped my sangria already, 10 seconds in.
Yeah, no party fouls here.
No, sir.
Yes.
Uh-oh. Turn that sound down.
You in the feedback loop, baby.
Hey,
Yeah.
all right. So,
what a day we got, though. We got the boy up here. He's about to show us what's up.
Yeah,
man.
Matt Waters in the building.
Hey,
What up, players?
What
How
up?
we doing?
What up, man?
Dude,
How you doing?
I love your vibe, man. Every time you come in here, I just like it's almost like this like warming feeling when you come in. Like
Thank you,
everything's
man.
back to being cool again, man.
Yeah.
Well, every time I try to bring a little bit of liquor, so it seems like I'm putting out some good feelers.
Is
man.
that how it gets all warm in here?
Last
bro?
time I
get
was
that
in,
warm feeling.
we were drinking champagne last time I was in here. I don't know why we were drinking champagne, but we killed a bottle last time, and it was a good vibe.
That's funny, man. We just grab whatever's available, dude, in the back room and just pull it out.
Yeah,
and
we get the party favors going. That's all that matters, man.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
gifts are
Right?
gifts. I mean, I got a little margarita in a cup. You got some sangria. We're getting tropical up in here.
You brought some Cancun booze down, man.
Dude, and there's only one Cancun that does it. It's the one over in Villa Hills. Don't crowd my local establishment, but I would recommend.
All right, so Villa Hills is like you live over by there.
So I'm splitting my time between my apartment with my fiance over in Villa Hills.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much,
Yes,
man.
man.
It was a much needed step, and I feel like I chose the right lady for my life, so it feels good to be there. But then I also have my studio space and my space with my folks out in Blue Ash. So
Oh, okay.
I'm crossing that river every day, doing what I can.
You got two ends of the spectrum over there, man.
Dude, I'm cool with it. You know, it's the same kind of suburbia on both sides. I dig it. I just need grass. You know.
For sure, bro. That's the one thing I'm missing right now is grass, man. Like I need my own little piece of property, bro. Like I miss cutting the grass. I miss like I want my dog to have some land before he gets too old to run, man. You know what I mean?
And there's also like this feeling of like your personal little plot where you're responsible for it. Like I don't mow the lawn a lot, but when I do, it gets real out there. Okay, I
Oh,
appreciate
yeah.
those little specks. And it's like I've been also doing my yoga outside a little bit more as it warms up. It's like that's just good for the heart, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
I said this earlier. Like I don't know if it was like the way you were raised, but like you are cut from a different piece of cloth than everybody I've ever met, man. Like you're light years ahead of your age. What are you, like 25, 26 now?
I'm going on 26, dog. They're taking away my health care, and I don't like that
Nah,
shit. Dude,
man,
it got
that's-
so real last month.
Isn't that such a like what are you supposed to do all of a sudden now you gotta not go? I mean, like
Well, dude,
what's about that, man?
There's a crazy question to be asked there of like, you know, you don't want to call yourself sheltered, but like I had good parents that took really good care of me. But then 26 hits are like, your parents can't protect you from this world, son. Okay, you pay the
Right.
dollar bills, and you have no dental plan. Okay,
Right.
I'm a freelancer, so I got to live that life.
That's funny, bro. That's the
Right.
truth too, man. Like you know, they kind of just throw you to the wolves, and they don't teach you that shit in school either, man. Like how to like balance checkbooks and do like normal stuff that like the everyday stuff that we need to do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, as an adult, man, they forgot to teach you that in school.
Yeah, they teach you arithmetic.
You know, but like you look at the lineup of things that they were committed to teaching you, and you know, systematically we have to have a certain approach. But when you have a couple of those teachers that like, now I'm an adult and I'm starting to call some of my teachers from high school and just say what up and get a drink with them. It's like, I'm so grateful for the particular group of people that did raise me, that did show me what the real world could be.
Yeah.
If you stuck to your guns, if you surrounded yourself with folks that were as motivated and ready for what the world had to offer as you wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to turn around and see that, you know, you were one of the fortunate ones for whatever you got. Count your blessings wherever they might be. But I'm stepping into this life of just making music and having that be my only thing. And I know that's because I stand on the shoulders of giants with great folks and a great upbringing.
For sure, bro. And the thing about you, man, is you really have this like old soul, right? You're a young guy, but like I would almost put you in this like small category of like they call them Zennials, right? It's people that grew up without the internet that know how to implement the internet now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only like an 8-year window of people that like it's like 77 to 84 or something like that. But like somebody like you, I feel like and I don't know if it's just the way that you were raised, but like you've got a lot of like old soul in you. Even the like the blues music and that like funk that you bring to your music, bro. Like it's not normal. It's not like an everyday thing that you hear. But like for you being, I met you when you were 22, going on 23 years old, and you already had the blue check, and you're already on these moments of like, who's this kid, bro? Like 22 years old, you're over here like. And it was funny because, when we did the wing contest in the old store,
Dog.
there was somebody on the other side of they were in the actual native store who was hearing your music, and he was looking around, texting me, going, "Dude, what is going on in that back room? I need to know who's playing this music right now." And I was like, "Yeah, it's my guy Matt Waters, dude. Like, you gotta check him out." And he was like, "Dude, I want to book this guy. I want to like follow him. Like your music is just, it's got that right like." Good vibe, like summertime jams to it, man.
Thank you,
know,
man.
And that's the thing is like you can tell when you're on stage too. It's not just a set. Like you end up going in this zone where you'll close your eyes and you'll just get in this groove where like, and that's that real musician coming out, man. It's not just play it by the book, bro. Like you're just you're doing your own thing when you're on stage too, and it's insane to see, man. At such a young age.
Well, thank you, man. Like I think you hit on something cool where it's like. There were some of us that came into an age of the internet that gave you more access to why you would use it. In a time where like all my friends struggled to hit their max followers in high school on Instagram for just being who they were, I was starting to look at that like as just my brand. I had just put music stuff on there, so I got to live my life outside of the internet, my personal world. Like. My relationship to my family, my relationship to my friends was not what they saw on there because that was just my work stuff. And as much as that is like an all-consuming part of it, like the best thing about my gig is that I love having this eccentric group of homies that I go to for the ins and outs of my day. Whereas you might call HR about what's going on with your job, I call Jay Banks because I'm out of T-shirts, dog, and I'm going to New Hampshire next week. Like. There's so many benefits to like the entrepreneurial opportunity that's come along with being a kid that was handed Facebook, handed Instagram at a young age, and just told like figure out what your personality is going to be on there. How are you going to make your impact in it?
Right, bro, and you're doing a great job at it too, man. It's one of those things where. You've got the weekly
wave,
yeah.
And then I also got the Mondays Muse. And it's like, we all try our hand at internet shows because you never know what's going to catch somebody, but
for sure. But it's that content that you put out, man. It's it's consistent content. If you can do it once a week, before you know it, you're gonna build an audience that you didn't realize that you had. And that's especially if you do it twice a week, man. You're doubling down on what you're good at, and you're also learning, right? So the editing gets easier, the uploading gets easier, the whole nine. It's like a learning process, man, and it's really impressive that you've have taken yourself and branded it the way you have. I keep thinking, man, it's like this dude, like when Jason Mraz sees you, it's going to be over with, bro. And you were like, oh yeah, that's what was the song?
Dude, I'm Yours was the first song I ever
I'm
learned to
Yours.
sing as a kid.
Yeah.
And so he was like, that was what made me like wanted to play music. And I'm like, what, dude? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
I was working at the radio station when that song came out, man.
Right.
But when you see through someone like that, like when you can spot, the people that motivated you to get out of bed and do that shit. It makes you feel so affirmed by this path in life, and
yeah.
and the list of all of our heroes goes on to endless extents. It's like you can never tell who's going to inspire you to be the greatest version of yourself, but like find someone to obsess over, to admire their ethic, and then take that to a level that they would have never seen. It's like if I wake up every day and I look at a picture of Prince, and I know that's the shit that I got to get after, I'm going to end up in a pretty good spot because that's the guy that will work himself to death. Like that's the GOAT,
Yeah,
know?
he did literally everything.
Literally.
Everything. He did across the table. He made his music. He performed his music. He broke down the staff for his music. Everything end to end, that man did it all. So like if you can strive for even half of where he's at, dude, you're ace in the hole. You know what I mean? Like, and those are the type of people. You're the Michael Jacksons of the world. You know what I mean? Now we got Post Malone, who like you're looking at like his life is pretty much documented, and he's pretty much showing people like, dude, I'm just a regular guy, but yet at the same time he's putting himself on another level. Like by hey, I'm gonna look iconic. I'm gonna have an iconic sound. I'm gonna be big as the world, but at the same time, let's talk about Bud Light.
Bro, seriously.
Right. Like, let's talk about Bud Light.
Yeah.
You can buy Bud Light. I can buy Bud Light. We're both drinking Bud Lights at different places, but guess what? Come check out a show. And like that level of like normalcy with the level of like, I don't know, like iconic.
It's a good way to connect to your fans.
Yeah, for sure. And
dude.
he's got it in that pocket, perfect. So like, yeah, like Prince didn't have that same kind of like social media world that he was in, but like, there's people that are just coming out that just show another level that no one else can get to. And if you can get to half to where they're at, because they have teams, right? They have teams.
Yeah.
But like on the base level, the grassroots level, they're thinking out of the box in a world that's already been created for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like you do the same thing. Like I see your social media posts. I see how creative you are. And there's a bunch of other musicians in Cincinnati that are talent out the ears, man.
Yeah.
But yet they may not have that same presence that you're putting out, that Matt Waters puts out. I always think of like the Matt Waters experience. Every time I think like I wanted to put on
that's the truth too.
Yeah, I wanted to put on a show. You got booked up through your thing, but I wanted to put on a show, and I wanted the whole night to be the Matt Waters experience on the rooftop of the Madison Live. I had this whole like plan out in my mind, but it didn't work out. It maybe another time.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But like it's one of those things where you can offer that other people may not be able to, and that's a unique pocket that you can run to the bank with, man. Like it's awesome for real.
For sure. When I think you hit on something cool where it's like there's moments that we all possess excellence. We're all folks of great potential, and if you choose to envision yourself with your fullest potential, you'll reach it to some extent. You will at least scratch at the surface. But if there's one thing we can all do in a great way, it's to admire the people that we see in these statures of excellence. So whether it be curating shows with kick-ass bands, whether it be picking your merch to be coming from places that you know are top-notch and you're going to take it to that level, it just embracing this community that we have here, because in the age of the internet, you don't need to be in a media mecca like in LA or in New York City. You can call home, and you can shout from the mountaintop about that shit. It doesn't need to be just yourself. It can be all the artists that you admire around you.
Yeah.
So thankfully,
100%.
when you talk about the experience, it's like, if you want to take it back to Hendrix and the man himself, it's like, that's not just Hendrix. That's these trios that he chooses.
Yeah.
That's these bandmates that are these out players that choose to carry him in that regard and to give him that kind of stature.
100%, right. And that's kind of where it came from. Like I was just thinking, like it's not about the level of guitar playing or singing. It's just a moment in time when everyone is there and they're all in the same register mentally, and we're all there, and we're in lighthearted, fun, catchy music, but at the same time, it's about the life that they're living, and we're trying to all align our stars at the same time.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm at with certain artists. Certain artists kind of fall into that pocket where their music is just, the fans just level with it. They can relate to it, even though they may not be able to play it, because you won't expect someone to play it, but you want someone to be like, hey, can you vibe with me? You can vibe with me. Let's make an experience. And
Totally.
That's the night that we're not going to forget, because the next time you're going to bring all your friends, because you're like, dude, you can't miss this experience that I had watching him. Oh, it's just a guy playing guitar and singing on stage. It's more than that. It's more. Whether we have vendors, there's an event going on, and it's like, this guy he just gets it. He gets it.
That's a really interesting point to make, because in the world we live in now, where instead of telling my friends about how good of a time I had, I show my friends on my story in real time. At a point in time where it's not about reminding them to sharing that with me, it's about telling them that they missed it. Unfortunately, social media has led us to a world where you feed off your friends' FOMO. You kind of want to lead them into these places where you got to do something that they had no chance of.
All right, here we go. All right, we're back. Sorry, man. We had some people at the front counter trying to buy a hat, and we're over here having a good time over here on the podcast.
Dude, speaking of hats, so this is my proudest piece of native merch.
You know what, bro? And I appreciate it, because I see you rocking that all the time, man.
It's the only hat that is an absolutely every time I see it. I change my outfit to put this shit on. And when I wear it outside of the city, people have no idea where I got such a cool MTV hat. I'm like, no, look closer and appreciate that
That's the
that I
best
got
part.
someone that you have style, you have the gusto to go after, not a trademark, but like something sweet like that where it's so distinguished.
Oh, bro, we play that line hardcore, man.
Yes.
So we actually we just got busted for the Bass Pro Shop hat.
Cool.
So and that's what I say, bro.
And hot
And
damn, I'm
that's-
looking at a rack of this shit.
Fuck them, bro. Like honestly, that's at the end of the day. It's like I'm. In order to be a cool company, you've got to press the boundaries, right? And
Yeah.
it's like people ask like, well, how do you get away with doing that? It's like because we got the balls to do it, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Until
it.
you get a cease and desist, you don't need a lawyer, but when you get it, you need a good lawyer, okay?
And that's so we're at that point right now. So if
need a
there's
good
any
lawyer?
lawyers listening, I've got a couple on hand, but
I got the city's best. I'm telling you right now, I got a great lawyer.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right,
he's
we're
the
gonna,
man. We'll
we're,
talk.
We're gonna talk after the podcast for sure. But it was one of those things, man. Where like the Bass Pro Shop hat. Like people ask us like, how do you get away with doing those logos? It's like, bro, we don't get away with doing it. We press the boundaries, and then if we do get a cease and desist, then possibly that hat's gonna be worth more down the road than it is now, right?
Yeah.
And if I've got to pay a fine to Bass Pro Shop to make it happen, then we'll pay the fine to make it happen, and we're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna do Marlboro. We're gonna do all these other logos.
Dude, the Marlboro was a sick call. I remember walking in the old store and you had those T-shirts in the front rack. It's like there's just certain things where you're playing with people's expectations.
Oh yeah,
Especially when it comes to these large brands, but you do it in a way that feels like you're re-embracing your home while also doing that. When I wear this hat, I know I'm trolling people to ask me about this hat.
Oh, yeah.
And I get to tell them about my boy Jay Banks, and I get to tell them about the Native brand. But there's something about that discomfort that's way more real than any kind of reinvention of the wheel.
oh yeah,
How many ways can you frame a T-shirt where I don't care?
for sure, dude. And that's the thing. Like for us, man, like we want to separate ourselves from the local T-shirt companies, right? Because I'm trying to compete with Nike.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to compete with Adidas, right? I'm not nearly on their level, but how do you get up there? You gotta poke the bear to get there, right?
Facts.
So that's the MO right now is we're just sitting here poking every bear until somebody bites back, and then as soon as they bite back, then we're gonna go whoop. All right,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Dude, and I think that it's easier to notice that in industry that is, tangible and physical and mainly visually based. It's like you got to mess with these visuals to kind of get that reaction out of people. Whereas in music, if I hear a top 40 song that stands out, I YouTube how they made that sound, and I steal it. Like
You make it your own for sure.
Exactly. But we have this utility that is more heard than seen,
Right.
more heard than felt. So you can get away with that in other ways. Whereas this is about playing a little bit more hardball, and I gotta respect that about you, man.
Well, I appreciate it, bro. And that's the thing, man. Like, we're just trying to get to the next level, and it's like, how do you get to the next level? We talk about it all the time, bro. Like, how do I get to the point where my company can sell $210 hoodies? And it's like it's not feasible unless you literally do everything backwards, right? Like I could never sell a $210 hoodie in this store because I wouldn't sell shit, right?
Yeah.
But these companies, they'll come out, they'll create a brand, online only. They'll mark their price up way high, and then they'll give the hoodies away for free to social influencers. And then they see the price tag of $210, and they go, "I'm gonna have to take care of this hoodie. I'm gonna have to wear it all the time because it's a $200 hoodie." Right?
Yeah.
So that's the trick, man. It's like, but how do you get to that point without like pulling the blinds over people? Because like I don't want you're the same way, man. Like you want to be able to charge what it's worth, right? You don't want to overcharge people. Your music is one of those things where it's like it's bar none. No one in the city can compare to it, dude. Like you're in your own lane. No one's doing this funk music. Like you've got like such a Gary Clark Jr. Vibe about you. Not only just you, but the music. It's incredible to see where you are at 25 years old, sitting here in the Midwest, while there's people out there in LA, going to like these what's the school that John Mayer and all those dudes went to?
Berkeley kids.
Berkeley, yeah, bro, for sure.
But they're still fly out there. I'll give them
He
credit for
said
that.
Berkeley kids.
Berkeley kids. Well, they're great, but there's something too, this decision to step up in my relationship here solidifies the one thing that I've always known is I'm a Midwestern kid. I ain't going nowhere. This is home because it's home, okay?
For sure.
And you'll never take that away from me, but I'm going to tell you all the reasons why that this home is beyond kick-ass. And there's something about when you look at Prince and you look at Morris Day and the Time, you realize that that's the sound of Minneapolis. Yeah. Shit, man, I was reaching for the sangria. But there's something to be said about like Nashville Sound right now is very distinct, and people start to see that as an expectation they can get used to. So it kind of discredits the purpose. Like, I was talking to my boy Damon about this last night on my podcast. Like, the reason I'm going to do it myself is because I want you to hear where I may know better and I may know worse. We're going to grow together in that, but it's going to sound like me, and that's for damn sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I love about you, man. Is like the unique sound. No one else like you're not interpreting anybody. I look at you like an artist, like I am. Like, I pick up things from L.A., I pick up things from Vegas, I pick up things from Chicago, and I mesh them all together and make it my own, right? And I feel like that's what you do with music. When you jones out and close your eyes and just like drop your head back, bro. It's like, oh shit, he's in a zone right now.
Totally, it gets real, and that's one of those things where, like, if you're talking about a brick and mortar store like this. You walk in and there's an experience quality to it the moment you step in the store that you don't pay for.
Right.
But you may pay for that in a $75 hoodie. Maybe it's not at the point where you can ask these certain prices, but that is valued by the consumer.
Right.
In the same way that I could value a VIP package for someone at a show. Now, I'm playing shows in people's backyard. You want to talk about VIP? Let me stay at your house. Like, that's some crazy shit.
That's dope, though.
And I don't charge a lot for that right now. I don't charge that much. But if you want to make these experiences that valuable, you invest in what it takes to put on the experience.
Right.
You invest in what the takeaways are from that. And then you also invest in that moment. As a person saying that I'm going to be there, I'm going to participate in this. I'm going to close my eyes and go cosmic because I know that this guitar solo is going to mean as much to you as it will to me if we both get transported,
For sure.
If the mothership takes off without you, well, shit luck, you know what I mean? Like,
right. What's crazy, bro? Like you said, like playing house shows and stuff. So Ernie Halter is a good friend of mine, and he's from L.A. He moved to Nashville, and he's been like grinding all of his life, bro. Like, it was at the point where, like, when American Idol started getting big, people were like, "Why don't you go on American Idol?" He's like, "'Cause I'm a fucking musician." You know what I mean? Like back in the day, he was like, I've already made it. Like I can't go to something. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But Ernie's put in his dues, bro. Like, he stayed at my like I was 19, 20 years old, and I just I love this dude's music, and I got connected to him through like Josh Kelly and all these other like acoustic players. And Ernie was like, setting up a tour, and it was like, "Hey, man, do you have a place in Cincy? Can I crash at your house?" Like, and that was the whole band crashed at my mom and dad's house, and we set up a gig for him there at Sully's in Cincinnati, and so every time he came in, my house was just a place to crash at, and it was one of those things where it's like it helps them out because, we're a fly-by state, right? So a drive-by state. So it's one of those things where, like, if he can stop in Cincy on the way from Indy to Louisville, and then play a Wednesday show that I can get him, like, it's gonna double up on your experience and your fan base.
Totally, and also, it's hard to pick what dates make sense. Like, routing's a major bitch in my life, but so I'm looking at this show in Sandown, New Hampshire. Sandown is about an hour and a half out of Boston. Mm-hmm. It's by far the biggest fan base I've ever found for myself. These are some of the loudest, sweetest people, and they love what I've done, and I love what they've done. They give me space. They let me stay at their home, and it's all come from one college buddy that's given me that opportunity. So now you figure out, like, okay, what's it take to get me 14 hours north of this bitch? Like, I'm going to need to have some other gigs in between here to make that happen.
Right.
So you're asking for the same kind of magic to pop up. Like, I met a guy in Hilton Head one time, like, just hanging out, playing on the beach. Introduced himself, tells me he's from Buffalo. We don't talk for years. You know, a couple months ago, I hit him up about a show in Buffalo. Suddenly, I'm sleeping in his basement with my hammock set up. I'm like, this is
100%, bro.
that's as good as it gets, man. Like, I made a friend, and he has a space for me. And I look forward to waking up and having breakfast with this dude and talking about a kick-ass show we did the night before.
And that's the thing,
Yeah,
man.
man,
Like
that's great.
for me, like I've always been the connection to Cincinnati, right? Like so I'm not the ask for autographs and pictures type dude. Like, you know, I worked for the radio station when I was 18 years old, so I was an intern, right? I got to do a lot of like things that I shouldn't have been allowed to do at as a teenager. But whenever these people would come in, I would just say, "Hey, bro, I know you don't know anybody here. If you want to grab a drink, if you want to go to a club, if you want to go to a game, or if you want to pick up some chicks, just shoot me a text. I got you."
Yeah.
You know, and that was like, so I was the connection to all these people. So, you know, I've got Grammy Award winners, bro, that like message me when they're like, "Hey, man, can I get a gig in Cincinnati, or can I crash at your house like while we're coming through?" Like, and it's crazy to think that these people don't have that connection. Like they're at this level when it comes to music, but you know, when it comes to this Midwest thing, it's like or flyby states or drive-by states, like they still need that local connection, man.
Yeah.
It can be a little lonely at the top. To
Always,
a
bro.
degree, you know.
Especially when you get up there, because I was just talking to somebody earlier, and I was like, you know, what happens when, you know, these professional NFL players, like they want to go to Clutch or they want to go to Gala Park or something, like they don't want to go on their own, like they want a connection
Facts.
down there at the bar. They want somebody that they can connect with while they go down there, right? So
For sure. And there's something to be said, too, about investing in your favorite bands before they get there. It's like, you know, the reason
Always,
that
bro.
the reason that Green Day got called sellouts is because there's people that supported them from the bottom up, and when your favorite bands take off in that kind of way, it's hard. But at the same time, you don't get nowhere without those fans. You don't get anywhere without the 15%, the 10%, the 5% of people that saw you from the get.
Bro,
said,
they put in their dues. I've seen videos of Green Day playing at their high school like outdoor air. Like they went to like a California school where everything was like outdoors, like you see in the movies and shit. But they're like 17 years old, bro, like playing out there in the courtyard of the school, and like no one's paying attention, but it's fucking Green Day. Like,
Totally.
little young kids, man, rocking
Right.
out.
Yeah, and
Right.
from the perspective that you know now, it's absurd to think that they're playing to nobody. But it's like, you know, I'll go places where someone acts like they've been listening to me every single day, and I'll go places where I could play for this person every day and they wouldn't give a shit. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, people will choose the value of what you provide. So it's about, you know, affirming that and accentuating it and bringing it to those people over and over again and making it special. You know, walking that line of uncomfortable.
For sure. So you've got so when is that gig out there in outside of Boston?
So we're going back there in July. I go there every like 4 months.
All right. So where do we have to get you hooked up? What towns are on the way out there that you're trying to stay at?
So I looked at Syracuse. I looked at Buffalo. There's a lot of ways to route up to that part of like New Hampshire. You can also do like I'm forgetting the name, but I just talked to my boy about this. But damn, man, I won't be able to remember this small town right outside.
I've got some guys in Buffalo, man. I'll see what I can do, because I did a fashion show there. You know what, bro? I did the fashion show while my ear was sewn on. So it was like maybe a couple weeks after I got all the injuries.
Jesus.
And so I went to the doctor and they sewed my ear back on, like that was bit off. And I drove down there with Steve Hill, which was hilarious, bro, because we were in my car together.
Shout
And he
out
was
to
like,
Steve.
all I could do was smell your ear, bro, on the way down there. It was just.
That's
It
so
was-
raw, dude.
Bro, that's my guy, man. Steve, if you're watching, I love you, bro.
Dude, Steve and I are like second cousins
I-
by marriage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like legit. Like I saw him at a family wedding. I was like, who invited Steve.
That's
and he goes,
hilarious.
"Dog, this is my cousin's wedding." I was like, "All right, now we're on the same page. You want to fight? You know, like it's our same cousin. You know what I mean?"
That's hilarious, dude. I
That
think
is
he's out.
hilarious.
I think he's living on a beach again somewhere.
He is.
He's
He
been
is.
out gigging.
Man, I follow him on Snapchat and like just to see his stuff. We don't talk. It's been a minute, but like he's out there just doing his thing. He's on a beach.
DJ
He's
Crowboy.
just having a
Crowboy.
good time, man. Like I see his stuff. Yeah, I see his stuff, and it's
Is
just,
it Crowboy or Croy Boy?
Croy. Well, how do you say the
LaCroix?
I don't know. I don't know.
I always thought that was the name of that brand, but I could be tripping hard. Isn't that Costco? Is that Costco soda?
Probably, bro.
Steve Hill got a Costco
I was
membership.
I
don't
was this
believe that.
close
He's
to
a
buying. I was this close to buying Big K soda for the store today, just on a nostalgia factor, bro.
Man, I got no
I
issues
was-
with Big K.
I was worried. Like I don't remember what it tasted like though. I was like, am I gonna buy this just gonna be flat Coke? Like I can't remember what it tasted like.
Man,
bro.
I forget-
Pepsi's
I for-
garbage. Big K ain't bad. You know.
Okay, all right.
If it weren't for those little candies, those little Tic Tacs that you get, I would not know what
Coke
Coke
tastes
tastes
like.
like. I forgot.
He hasn't had a soda in like a decade, bro.
5 years.
So
Good on you though.
It's because I worked at a restaurant. They didn't sell soda. It was just cans. So I just, for 6 months to a year, I didn't worry about it. And then I just found alternatives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely not something you should be drinking, you know, at 75. Dude, I went to Grader's the other day, best ice cream in the city, obviously. But there's like this well-dressed, like 80-year-old man drinking a soda, smoking a cigarette outside Grader's. I was like, if you made it this far on this diet, I don't give a shit what you do, brother. Tear it up. Like,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
the man.
Right.
But-
His
but I-
story is probably great.
Yeah, if you ain't drinking at least like 128, ounces of water a day, you probably ain't doing it right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at least start there.
That's funny.
That's funny, bro. By the way, Graders, dude, they're always in the damn spotlight, man. Iration, it's a
Yeah.
band. They're from Cali. All the band members are from Hawaii though, so they're super like laid back and they got like the 311 vibe. They were on tour at 311, but they picked up some hats for their hats and shirts for their concert while they were here in town.
Hell yeah.
But those guys, dude, man, my phone's blowing up. Those guys were, damn, where's I just going with this?
Graders?
Graders. Yeah,
Graders, yeah.
there it is. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you paying attention. Yeah, of course. Just like every band that stops in, like I think even MGK stopped at Graders, bro. It's like it's one of those
He
things
knows
where
about
like,
the chocolate chunks.
bro, how do we get to that factor where like oh, when we're in Cincy, we got to go to the Native brand. You know what I mean? We got to see that store. Like that's
Right.
the level we got to get to, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Gary Owen stops in, you know what I mean? Like, he's a good start. We were talking about him earlier. Like, yeah, man. It's one of those things where certain people just recognize and they see it before, it's going to hit its tipping point, and they want to stop in and get their merch before they go out back on tour, go to their respected cities. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. I've had people come here on Sundays that are like touring musicians that just happen to be in Cincy. They stumble into Native because they walk in. They're on Newport on the Levee at the aquarium, and they like, that store's cool. I could vibe with that. They come in. They're like, man, I actually am pretty successful, actually, if you guys are interested in having me. But I'm out in California or whatever, and I'll talk to them. I'm like, man, you're legit, man. Like, how did you find your way here? Like, well, the aquarium. I'm like, well, okay.
Right.
All right.
Aquarium's
Like,
lit, man.
yeah, man. It's one of those things where if you've got something that, like we are in that process, we're trying to like, push it out to as many people as possible. But places like the aquarium, tourist spots that these, I don't call them B-list, but like B-list celebrities, people that are like kind of on the up and up in their own world, see it and like, hey, we got to take the family while we're in this little city here, like Cincinnati, the Midwest spider web, if you will. But like,
Yeah.
they come here and they're like, hey, there's an aquarium here, let's check it out. While they're on the levee, hey, we're sitting here with black lights on the ceilings. We got a cool vibe, so they stop in because it fits that West Coast feel. And here we get all of a sudden they're walking out with some merch. And they're taking it back to their city. Like, it's a good feeling to see. That's all organic.
Yeah.
That's them just seeing it in real time and picking up stuff because they don't have to. They're not required to do anything. You know what I mean? So
And I think like the foresight it takes to know that this is a good location for the brand for a while. Like I remember when you were down in like more like the Bellevue area,
Oh,
or was
yeah.
that like more like Dayton, Kentucky?
Dayton, KY, bro.
And
Yep.
like that was a vibe, but like ain't nothing taking me down there except Native.
And that's the thing, man. I had that store. That was the first store that we had, and I bought the building 15 years ago, and bro, like my dad, God rest his soul, a G to a T, bro. Like, I saw the building, and there was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath upstairs. There was a 1-bedroom, 1-bath downstairs, and a storefront. And my dad was like, "This is it. This is where you need to lay your seed, bro." And I'm like, I don't want to be a landlord to somebody, man. I would rather have, instead of 1,600, 1,200, and 600, I'd rather have 3,200 square feet to myself. My dad's like, "Quit being an asshole, dude. This is, if you want to have a clothing company, this is where you need to go. This is your step. You can live upstairs. You can rent out to one of your buddies downstairs, and then you can fuck around in the store." You know, he's like, this is where you need to go. And so I buckled down, and Dayton wasn't, 15 years ago, Dayton wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
But now it's like, holy cow, dude! Like I'm sitting on a gold mine over there. Not only that, it did exactly what my dad told me to. It was like, you can live up there, you can have your buddies live downstairs where you're not on top of each other. And bro, like that bottom apartment has been like a catalyst for so many of my successful friends, like that just have wanted to get out of like the college situation and move out there, just a 1-bedroom on your own, and then propel yourself to the next. Down in Clifton, he used to live down there. Andrew Slancy.
Yeah, dude, I love Andrew. I was working with Andrew at God, what was the name of it, up Mount Adams for a while? Chapter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you know who got me in Chapter, man? Brandon Perry, the GOAT himself.
Yeah, that was my roommate too, man.
Dude,
I heard about that earlier. He would be like all up in my ear telling me who you were.
Dude, he's taken great care of me in the time that we've been friends. And there's something to be said about when you can recognize that someone's trying the generation below you, and you in a very big brotherly way. That's a guy that took me under his wing and said, "Hey, I'll give you these connections and put you in the right places to be successful." But more importantly, like, treats you like an equal. Is excited to see you.
Bro.
You're a human being to that person. They give you space for it.
You got so they're like, the way that I look at these things is like auras, right? I don't I'm sure it's not right. I've got it completely wrong. But the way that I analyze these, like my life and the people that I meet, is I put people in bags or like baskets real quick, right? Like, trust them, don't trust them, don't even want to mess with them, right?
Yeah,
but
just
like,
the intuition.
Yeah, and just like, it's just that aura thing, man. And it's just like when you, like, there's something about you that just makes people gravitate towards you. Same thing with Brandon. There's people that have this, like, I want to see him again. I want to hear him again. Like, yeah. I like the vibe that he puts off, and that's that aura thing. Like, and when you find somebody that has that same type of mentality, same type of aura, like, all we are atoms, dude, just bouncing around in the world. So, like, of course we're gonna gravitate towards each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's something really special about when, like, I think auras fall in that category of things that are felt, not seen, nor heard. And there's this whole physical reality that we're tuned into because of the species that we are in. We get to hear from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. We get to see on the visual spectrum of these colors, and that's what you catch. But there's plenty of shit outside of that.
Way, way outside of that, bro.
Yeah. And if you luck out and you have some kind of inclination toward it, it can really play into your advantage, just in terms of, like, navigating this short life you get. And when that turns into, like, some people have synesthesia. They see music. That sounds like some pretty rad shit if you're going to go see AC/DC and you get a free light show in your own head.
Right.
But there's something also about, like, intuition, where I meet you and you give me a realm of comfort and understanding and authenticity that is undeniable from the get. So I don't have to worry about that shit.
Right.
I don't need to question your sanity and your dependability. I know you can just step into my life and be there for as long as you want, and step out when you need to.
For sure, dude. And like if you want to start going down that route, I mean, we can start getting all kind of crazy, bro. Because, like, the way that I look at the situation when it comes to like different auras and like paths, right? We all have an A to B, right? So, like, everyone's got the A to B path, and, like, the way that I've always looked at. Have you had deja vu before?
Absolutely.
It's the craziest thing on earth, because, like, for the next 5 seconds, you know what's going to happen. Like, you know what that person's going to say or what that person's going to do. For me, I've never had a bad deja vu moment. It's always been a positive moment, or it's always been something and that's just it's never been negative, right? And what I've always thought about that is like we create our own paths, but God's got, or whatever it is. I don't know if it's God. I don't know if it's aliens. I don't know what. But there's an A to B path that we have, and like through course of life, you do your ups and downs. But the second that you hit that A to B, that's deja vu to me.
Yeah.
It's just the even ground. It's never been an amazing moment. It's never been a bad moment. It's always been that medium right there where it's like I'm at the right time, the right place at the right time of my life. Always.
Yeah.
Well, there's a great calling to action in those moments. Like most of the time, deja vu, as much as I may see it, within 5 seconds in advance of what's going on, like deja vu really exists to remind you that like time is fickle. Time is something you imagine. I was raised Catholic, so I was always taught that God sees time on this endless medium that He can pop in and out of. It's like, regardless of your denomination and how you sit with your faith, it's cool to realize that time and place are small parts of the variable, but you're tuning into the present is something that you must always do if you want to go from A to B, persistently.
Yeah.
And gratefully too. Like, tune into what's going on right now. You cannot predict the future. You cannot change the past.
Right.
Except the path you're on.
For sure. So when it comes to like the next 5 years of your life, so give me the 5-year plan and give me the 10-year plan, because I think I've got the 5-year plan set up for you, but I want to see where everything goes well, everything goes right in 5 years. Who are you? Because I know you want to tour in 5 years, right? You want to be a musician.
I want to play when I'm 95. I want to be knocking on death's door, picking my guitar. Like, it's the only thing that matters to me. So in a 5-year scope, I have a very clear idea of what my touring circuit is every year. I want to get better at what I can ask of people in terms of my value for the experience. But I want to write songs every single day that I get up. Because when you're used to catching the inspiration, you will have these moments of genius or pain that are oh so relatable, and they fit into the pop culture world.
For sure.
So to stay adamant about what I'm already doing is my 5-year plan. I've been gifted this opportunity to be here at 25 and know that I'm doing what I've wanted to do.
Right.
I've arrived. So now it's about persistence, and there's nothing I will wake up and do easier than make my music and hop in a car, drive 8 hours, play a show, drive 8 hours back. I don't care.
Right.
Whatever takes me to the people that will enjoy it the most. And if they don't enjoy it now, I will make sure they enjoy it later. There's an adamance for that.
For sure. So one thing that I want to make sure that we have here, bro, when you do these like pop-up shows 6-8 hours away, we've made merch for you before. We made the tie-dye logo, which looked really cool. But I want to, when you do these things, especially with gas prices the way they are, these people, they're probably asking for peanuts, right? Like, hey, can you come play at my house, or can you come do this? I can pay you $300, and it's going to be like your gas is $250 to there and back, right? But you, as a musician, you're like, hey, there's $50 that I'll make on the table. Now I'm not saying that's how much you make, but I'm just saying hypothetically, you
get the situations like the ends don't justify the means on paper necessarily.
For sure.
That's not in the world we live in.
Right. But what I'm once you're out there, how do you capitalize on the moment, right? And how do you capitalize on the moment is being able to sell CDs, T-shirts, things that people want to remember that moment by.
Yeah.
Right.
When there's a moment of ownership too. When I go down to Sandown, New Hampshire, which is like the number one small city that's seen me and cared for me and deserves my love in that regard. But they want to see their name on a T-shirt. They want to feel represented, seen, heard, felt. So when you make very particular tangibles for that, let's say Matt Waters in the Recipe, the Big Crash Summer Tour, Sandown, New Hampshire, it's like, I'm buying that fucking shirt. Believe me.
So let's do that, man. When you do these limited shows where you're going to New Hampshire, let's make 15 of them. Like, you know what I mean? And so let's make them so limited that like okay, so if they're $20 each, 15, that's 300.
Yeah.
So like let's guarantee a number that you can eat off of.
Totally.
Right. So
Well, and there's something that's interesting in the musician's world that happens in a lot of the artistic endeavors where it's like what I do as a primary subject has almost a monetary value of nil, because streaming is something that is assumed. You've already paid for that service, and most of the payment that you put towards Spotify or Apple Music is going to go to the biggest artists who have brought people to those platforms.
for sure.
That being said, when I get an interaction with someone, I always say you make fans one-to-one.
Always.
From you to me, if we can have that conversation, it could be the difference between a lifer or someone that's going to be there for the next 15. They're going somewhere else after this.
Right.
So then when you offer opportunities for them to financially support you that they also see value in, a shirt that makes me remember this moment in time, a sticker that makes me remember you on my laptop. I sell lighters because every time that you spark up, I want you to remember that you and I had this moment in time. Yeah,
For
actually,
sure.
hold on.
Smart.
I got one right here for you, Jay. Here you go, play.
Oh shit! I got no depth perception. Hey, that's dope as shit.
Yeah, man.
So
straight up Bix.
and I apologize because you messaged me to try to get your logo, the tie-dye logo for this here.
But like we just talked about, it's like when an artist steps in on your stuff, they deserve to be considered to the highest extent.
Right.
So however we go about that deal afterwards, all I'm saying is people love the tie-dye shit you make, so I want to make sure we keep doing it, you know?
sure.
So whatever way is most efficient for all of us. But when you're on the road, there's only so many ways to make money.
Always, bro.
And you got to be real with your fans about that, and you got to provide value with that. It's like, hey, if there's anything that matters to me at the end of the day, it's that you feel like you walked away with something that you couldn't put a monetary value on.
100%, bro. 100%.
It shouldn't be in your hand. It should be in your heart that you and I stood here together and I sang you a song and you loved that shit. Or maybe I sang you a song and you didn't love that shit and then we talked about it, then I played you something else that you dug. You know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
compromise.
But also like being there in the present, man, like shaking hands afterwards, like the show Iration. So they had Tropodelic and Cashed Out open up for them, and of course they do their due diligence down at Bogart's, where when they're done playing, they go and they hang out at the merch booth. They shake hands, they autograph, they do what they can to sell that merch, man. But I really think that like we can come up with something, because like I'm not only a friend of you, but I'm a fan of you. Like, and I know that you're gonna be in 5 years. I can see you just on a tour where you've got everything's on autopilot. You've got people behind you that I'm not going to be able to talk to you in 5 years. This is the way that I'm thinking about this thing. I think in 5 years I'm going to have to talk to a female that's going to correlate the merch to me, and then I'm just gonna have to send you a text message just to get the okay. Is this the logo you want, bro? And you're gonna 2-3 days later, I'll get a text message back. Yep.
Right.
But
You know what I mean,
like
right?
you're G at that level where it's like delegate well, find people that you trust to do the job right. And when we talk about my 10-year plan, it's like I want to be doing exactly what I'm doing, but extending the blessings that I had in my life to other people.
Right.
I want to be doing it at a higher level. Like it is the line between contentment and ambition that you walk happily. Successes of people that I admire.
Right.
I should only wake up to do what I can do, and I should always be satisfied with that job if I stepped up truly.
Right. But as a musician and as an artist, you're always going for that brass ring, right? You're always trying to get to that next level, and it's
Yeah.
like, man, why am I not there yet? Why am I not there yet? Like, and you're doing your due diligence to get there, man. So like for the people listening, like what, you're doing a lot of online social media presence, which is tedious and hours of backlog, right? But what you're doing is you're trying to brand yourself. Like not only come listen to my music, listen to me talk, and then the music is going to come secondary. Like you're trying to build an entire brand off this thing, which it kudos to you, because it's a second job. It's a job on top of just being a musician on your own, and when you see these other people do it, man, like they've got like a whole array of people behind them that are filming and editing and doing all the A to Z. But for you, like, you've been doing the legwork, you've been doing the editing and everything on your own, just to get your own self to the next level, which is like, hey, I'm doing all this artistic stuff for social media just so you can go back and listen to how good I am at what I love to do. And that's the thing that most people don't realize, man, is like you got to double down on yourself and put all the eggs in your own basket to get to that point. And it's like, the only reason why I'm here is because I haven't given up. And the only reason why you're sitting on that side of the couch is because you haven't given up. And I'm sure there's been a million times where you just wanted to pack it up, bro.
Totally. Well, but adversity is a friend in the lives of the passionate. Sometimes you need an antagonist for your story to get you up in the morning. And discomfort is not something to shy away from. It's something to test you as to whether you're on the right A to B path.
Right.
And as many times I've been tested, I know in my heart of hearts there's nothing I'd be happier doing. But I've tried to make a promise to myself that I will not stoop to levels that don't serve me.
Right.
So when I make my online content, I know where that serves me. It gets me to sit down with my friends. Like coming here today is a chance to talk to you guys, like the human beings you are, rather than people that help me out with my tangible merch catalog. Which,
right.
As much as I value that, I also value the opportunity to have a drink with you and just shoot the shit for a little bit, because that's what we're all at. There used to be this idea of stardom, and now there's a current idea of stardom,
right.
where you may have quantifiably more people watching, but the value of your contribution is only based on the consumer. So when it's just you and I will consume at the highest level. I will listen to you. I will enjoy every second of that, because if I can't take something from this conversation, I will not go back and write and step up. And I don't care where it is. I play at Kroger's. I play at great venues. I play in backyards. I play in strip malls. I don't give a shit.
And I want to reiterate something, man. Like just to solidify what you're saying, you literally told me, like, I want to play at your wedding and I want to do it for free. I want to be there. I just want to be in the presence, and I want to be able to play music, man. And that was so cool that you even offered that, man.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get a chance to make it happen, but like I love the fact that you're that hungry. Where and 3-4 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, like it's still on that path. Where like, yo, like, I'm hungry, bro. Like, I just want to go out there. I just want people to hear my voice, because you're that confident in what you do, man. And like, if you double down on what you're good at, bro, like I mean, you're 25, man, and you're treating this as you're 33 years old, just breaking it into the music industry. You know what I mean? Like, you've got a decade ahead of you that you get to work with, bro. And like,
for sure. And you look at an opportunity like someone's wedding day is a big deal. I'm talking about my own with my fiance right now, and it is a big deal. And sometimes you walk into those situations and it's just another day on the job, but you have an opportunity here through the medium of music to accentuate the experience.
Right.
And I know how much that can mean to somebody, because I've been there for the best and the worst,
Right.
Like, you see what it means to under-prepare and to over-prepare. I got this wedding I'm playing in 2 weeks in like the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And they Googled a funk band, and somehow I came up on a Google search. And then 3 years ago now, I started talking to these people. They started coming to my shows. We became fast friends, and now they give me this opportunity on their day with their friends to come play my shit, plus some of their requests. And I'm like, you better believe we're pulling the horns down there. We'll have a fat trailer with a whole bunch of lighting and a fog machine, like, because I don't take this opportunity lightly. I want us to disassociate from the world and all of its issues and dance our asses into the dirt, because it feels good.
And especially when you're in another state too, man.
Yeah.
You're out there, like, if you just let loose and be who you are, bro. Like, unbutton that second button that you do, bro,
Dude,
you're
said
gonna be so good in Carolina.
Get a little
man.
loose and get going, bro.
One time, Jay, I'm talking to him about T-shirts in some regard, and he goes, "No, Matt's one of those like barely buttoned up T-shirts kind of guys." And I was like, "Shit, man! Like as many people tell me to do one more button, at least he didn't tell me to do that. But like that's a friend, he knows, man. Like it's just,
Dude,
I'm more comfy this way."
You're killing it. You're killing it, bro. Like some people shy away from the chest hair, bro.
The
You're
chesticles,
like, yo.
you know.
Yeah. No, I feel it, bro. And you know what? And
Amazing.
before I forget, so I've got a good friend that lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't think they moved to Tampa yet, but she's a program director, music director for one of the radio stations out there. And her husband is the lead singer of a band called Southbound 75.
Cool.
Mark Lorenzo. Lorenzo's super dope, bro. They used to live here. Randy West is his wife. She used to be on Kiss 107 here a lifetime ago, but got a job promotion out to Raleigh and just went haywire, bro. Like
Hell yeah.
she had a syndicated show here in Cincy, and like if you know anything about radio, bro, the only way that you make money is like a syndicated show.
Yes, you need to be national.
Yeah. I mean, because at that point you're just doubling up on your monies, right? So.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you bring that up because, like, you know, you look at what y'all are doing with your brand in a program like this. When I try to do in my brand with, like, the interview portion, it's like, you know, together we prosper in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
So you make this content with talented folks that you feel like have perspective that other people would take the time to listen to. And then you find ways to remonetize that and remonetize it, run the wheels off of every idea you have.
For sure.
Because some of these are going to go farther distances than others, but when it comes to just leverage in the public eye and the listener's view, you need to have countless at bats. You're never going to bat 1,000. You would never want to. A home run's a home run, baby. You know, so like
for sure.
you bring people on, you figure out how to push that content on the back end. And suddenly people start to cue in because of these small moments that they might see, 15 seconds. It turns them on to why this isn't just a clothing brand. This is a cultural movement.
Right.
You know, starting with a guy that was crazy enough to hire all these lunatics to run his store.
Right.
And to put on a podcast about that shit.
And that's the thing, man. Like you said something earlier about taking clips from, because like these podcasts, these are getting out of hand. These have been like 3 hours long or something. But what you do is you go in and you look for the peaks on laughing moments.
Yeah.
And that is so genius, dude. Just being able to go in on, you said you use Final Cut. Now we go live on everything, so I haven't had to use any editing software. You know, when I do use editing software, it's iMovie, but you know, few and far between I've ever had to do that. We eliminated it because it was taking too long for our editing to come back because we were outsourcing it.
Yeah.
So we would do a podcast and then we would slip up and say something about the Bengals before we had Joe Burrow. So by the time the show aired, the Bengals were in a slump, and we're like, "Yeah, let's go, Who Dey!" And it was just one random thing that we would say that would just tarnish the podcast because it didn't make any sense because it would be like a week later that we were talking about it.
Turnaround time's a bitch, you know.
You know, and that's the thing, man. It's and until you start editing, you realize that a week is a quick turnaround time.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like, you know, like the technology and the need for the devices expands exponentially as you do that well. But the only thing you can ask for yourself in the moment of filming is to be great by being there. Don't be on your phone. Don't be worrying about the trends. Say stuff that's going to feel like you were having this, you know, one-to-one conversation or just you and two guys that you spent countless time talking in front of.
For sure.
But when you turn it around these small clips, it's like, I'm not going to get you on the hook with an hour-and-a-half conversation. You don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. But if I can get you on a random rant of 15 seconds where, like you said, I saw the audio file spike. So I cued in. I tried to frame that moment in less than a minute. I post that shit on Instagram, and I hope for the best.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you know, the merch queen, Riley, one of my best friends, she's taken over my posting, so I don't have to sit there every day and rewatch my nonsense and caption this out, because then that just runs your big ass head into a brick wall. You know what I mean? Like, it strokes your ego in a weird way, and it debilitates your ego. It just makes you crazy.
Dealing with social media is tough, man, because you know it's aggravating because all you're doing is you're taking all this hard work that you've done, right? And then you post it online, and then when it doesn't get the attention, you go, "Fuck, man, what happened? Why?" You know, so if you can get somebody involved, someone else to do that stuff, you know, you're not going to take it to heart like she is. She's going to see it, and she's going to go, "Okay, this didn't work as well as this one did."
Yeah.
So how do we change that? But like artists like you and I, like I'll take that shit to heart, man, and it'll just dishearten me to post another one or to keep posting it until it's good. You know what I mean? Because I've got my own L's and W's in there, not somebody that I brought in that's gonna try to make it better, right? And critique it to the point that it's perfect.
But you know, it's the people in this small group around you that you've committed to that tell you the most absolute truths. It's the guys like Andrew that will talk shit about the show when he you know, whether you were or you weren't on it. It's like people that can give that immediate feedback are so important because, you know, in the public perception, you never know what it's like to get a first impression of yourself. You will never be distanced enough from your ego to understand what it's like to see 15 seconds of you as a stranger being funny or being cringy or being whatever the hell you are.
I have never heard Jay, the guy with the eye patch, right, on the outside world, but I'm sure it happens all the time, right? It's like it's one of those things where like you don't see what the outside perspective sees you as, right? But like at the same time, it's like I that's exactly how you would describe me, bro, as the guy with the eye patch. You know what I mean?
And you know, you're someone that has utilized your distinguishments to your advantage. You know, we live in a world where unfortunately, you know, victim mentality has taken a lot of great people to some hard places.
Right.
And unfortunately, whether it's good or bad, the hand you were dealt that is the hand you were dealt. So it is folks that can allow these particularities and distinguishments to raise your profile to a place where you're unforgettable.
Right.
That know what it means. You know, it's like that's authenticity. You don't shy away from your faults even. You don't even shy away from your hardships. And people remember you for that indefinitely.
For sure. Jesus, drop that one. All right. So, but like what I'm trying to like do with this whole thing, man, is like once I put the eye patch on, like I turn into a character, right? And it was like I get it. Like I didn't want to. It of course it bugged me at first because I felt like people weren't listening to me. They were just staring at me, going, "Jesus Christ, what happened to this guy?"
Yeah.
But it turned me into a character, and it ended up boosting the brand to a next level. Where like I'm totally when kids come in and they go, "Mom, it's a pirate," and the mom's like trying to push the kid behind her, going, "Shh, shh." I'm just knocking it all over.
You crazy,
dog.
Yeah.
So you know she's trying to push the kid behind her back. I pull out my wallet and I've got literally an 8.5 by 11 treasure map, a pirate treasure map that I ripped up into 9 different pieces. And so I would give this kid a little piece of the treasure map, and on the backside it says, "Shh, I am a pirate, but don't tell anybody. This is a part of the treasure map. If you can find the code or if you can find the treasure, go to thenativebrand.com, type this in, and you'll get your treasure." And it was just stickers, right? But it was like one of those things where like it happens so often that these kids were like, "Mom, a pirate." And she would be so embarrassed, or he would be so embarrassed that he would like try to push the kid behind his shoulder, like, "Stop, don't do that." And it's just like, that's all these kids know, bro. Like how am I gonna fault a kid for seeing me with an eye patch and not correlating me with a pirate? Like, it will be rude on my own part to think that this kid doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Well, and then you get to be a hero in their mind because one day they'll realize that you played into this character full on knowing that you are not a pirate, you are another human being. But the fantasy world that you live in as a child and the break between that and reality is somewhere indescribable, and we all feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But you are someone that took them into the world that is of any opportunity.
Of course,
and
bro.
that is heroic, you know.
And that's how we do it down here at the store, man. Like we make sure that we entertain the kids. Like there was a long time that every Saturday I would play Saturday morning cartoons from the 80s with the commercials in the store. This was back in Dayton when we were talking about. So like every Saturday morning I would play 1980s and 1990s like Ren and Stimpy on Saturday morning, like and I would have those Saturday morning cartoons where it was like Crossfire,
Yeah.
like that, all that shit. And I would give out cereal for the first 10 people that came in and give them 10% off the store, just because like I like these like kid factors, these nostalgia factors, like trying to like correlate some type of shit that I loved as a kid into the store now, right? Where like people, it's a interactive retail is what we call it.
Yeah.
So
But there's something brilliant about that. But you also remind me of I know we both watch the Rogan show, and it's like I was listening to God Sod on there the other day. This is a 10-year
Incredible.
professor, 10-year professor who is beyond brilliant. And he says, "Don't talk down to your children." And I think about my nephews, and I think about all the times where I'm playing with them, and I try to bring something down to their vernacular.
yeah,
And it's like, you can do that, but at the same time, respect that they have an opinion, they have an idea, they have a perception of this world that you are unaware of.
Oh, yeah.
So the only thing that you can do as a real friend is participate in it. And if you participate in that kind of a way, you take them to a new level of living where
Oh, yeah.
they can feel community, they can feel relationships building. Like when I play at Kroger, there's a kid that comes in there who's maybe in the 7th grade, and he loves to play the drums. So I set up a loop, and I hand him my drum pad, and I said, "We're in
Oh,
Kroger.
wow.
I could care less. Let's go for it together." And every once in a while, I throw him a drum solo, and that shit is so nasty. And I'm like, this is what I live for. I was a kid, and someone gave me a chance to come up and play with them. And
you
if
would
you hit
remember
it-
that forever, bro.
Yeah,
it is
Yeah.
so foundational to who I am. There's a guy that the first person I ever played with, my dad tipped him $20, gave me a chance. I came and played some reggae songs with him at a resort that my parents stayed at every year.
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
He let me
Good
play-
for your dad, bro.
He
Right.
let me play every gig that week he had with him. Every single gig. He let me do that for 6 years. Every time I showed up in Hilton Head, South Carolina, I'd call this guy, he'd send me a schedule. I'd play every show with him.
That's incredible.
He was a friend beyond what I could ever ask of a stranger.
So how old were you when this first happened?
I was 14.
Oh, wow,
13,
dude.
14. So the perfect age would be like, I'm interested. Show me what this life is. And he showed me. And so now I'm a band leader. I'm doing pretty well for myself. I have a gig in Hilton Head, South Carolina on my family vacation. My bass player can't make it. I call him. I booked his son to come play with me.
Hell yeah, dude. That's
And
cool as shit, man.
What a fulfilling moment to realize that this...
Full circle.
Yeah, man. This
Full
chance that I
circle.
was given. And this kid's also off the charts talented. Like the biggest benefit to me is to be surrounded by greatness, to get to benefit from that in my own show.
right.
So this kid steps up with tremendous talent. He also serves a great purpose in my life, and he also feels like this full circle moment. So it's crazy.
That's incredible, bro. So and so he's younger than you are, I'm assuming.
I think it's like 16, 17.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, bro. Like it's just you being you at that moment, and like I said, a good upbringing because your dad believed in you at 13, 14 years old to throw $20 to somebody to, you could have completely embarrassed your parents if you
Yeah.
weren't any good. You know what I mean? But like your dad believed in you at 13, 14, bro. Like,
Yeah.
let's do this. Like, and was that the moment that like that caught the spark that made you wanna just keep doing it? Because like
Yeah.
there's a moment in my life that like sparked where it was like I want to do this forever, right? Like there was a moment in my life that I felt that, and I haven't stopped since.
Well, in that 1 week of vacation, it happened with 3 or 4 people. He gave me my 4 biggest mentors of my childhood in 1 week by just continually asking this question once he knew I was ready.
Right.
But I remember very distinctly a conversation with my pops where he said, "Do you want to do this for the rest of your life?" And I was 14. And I said, "Absolutely." He said,
That's
"I'm on
crazy.
board." In that moment, like he pretty much dapped me up and said, like, "We're doing this." So whether it was driving me to Cleveland on a school night to play a set at the Hard Rock, I played at the Cleveland House of Blues when I was probably like 17.
Oh wow.
I had to
dude.
sell like 30 tickets. I didn't sell those 30 tickets. I bought those 30 tickets so I could play at this place. My parents drove me up there. I played for maybe 150 people tops. And then they drove me back. And countless situations after that where they just had so much unconditional support for me living my dreams that I can't fathom how people get there without that.
Right.
And it makes me eternally grateful to them and to proving them right for giving me that chance. Not in a way of full on, Grammy award winning success. I'd like to get my first Grammy and thank my folks.
For sure,
But
bro.
on a small level, every time they come to my show, I am.
It's a W. It's a win.
It's a huge W.
Yeah.
That's so true. I don't mean to interrupt or anything like that, but like I remember playing shows myself, and my dad is not exactly he's so musically talented. I noticed one time we were sitting in church.
Thank you, bro.
He he's like doing all these like rhythmic stuff with the music, and I'm like, he knows music, he just doesn't like to lead it on. Like he's low key with it. But like when I saw him come to my shows and come into metal band stuff and like seeing music he'd have to put earbuds in for, right? So
Yeah.
but he still came out and he still supported it. And I was like, seeing him in the crowd, I'm just like, you know what? I know you're not having the greatest time right now. You're not. I know.
But you're doing it for me.
But you're doing it for me. You're there for me. And like, it was like a moment where I'm like, it gave me that extra like oomph to like put
bro.
out that next level vocal and like that next level
Yeah.
performance. Get a little lower when the breakdown's going down. And I have another to say. I was helping out a customer earlier, but we were talking, and you just mentioned how the guy on the podcast on Rogan was saying that don't talk down the little ones, right? And my little brother, who is 16 years old, driving now, it's pretty cool. But like, I am not really good at baby talk. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and I still struggle to like baby down to her because like it's not really where I'm just not. It's not. I'm not built that way. I just talk to him like I'm just talking to anybody else. It's just not my strength. But with Landon, my little brother, my whole life, he was born when I was 17. And I never was good at baby talk. I just wasn't. So to this day, since he was little, I just like, what's up, Landon? What's up? What's up? Like I talk to him like I'm talking to my friends. And I think in a weird way, because he gravitates to me all the time. And I think in a weird way because I talk to him like we're on the same level. I mean, I'm 33 years old, be 34 in July, and he's 16, he'll be 17 in October. So we're way, way apart. And like, yet I talk to him like I'm talking to my homie, and I think he picks up on it and has always picked up on it, and it's made him a level of maturity that like it trying to it sped it up, it elevated it to like, hey, my big brother talks to me like I'm one of the crew. You know what I mean? And I think that's really helped him in the process. We've talked about him customizing native shoes and doing stuff because he like will spray paint shoes. He'll literally he has a whole setup, and his like holders are made out of Legos, and he's got a cool setup in my parents' like house. He's a little G, like it's really impressive. But like he just does it on his own. He doesn't have anyone like showing him what to do. My parents aren't. They're creative, but like he just does his own. He's in his own lane. But like I talk to him like, hey, you're one of the homies. Like, come on, Landon, let's hang out. Like he's like, yeah. But like, if you talk down to the little ones, I feel like they kind of get the security blanket that isn't realistic, right? Right? If you talk to them like, hey, you're one of the people. Like, come on, your ideas are just as important as my ideas. Just as important as his ideas. Your opinion just as important. Even though like people may not hear you because you're younger, you're 15-year-olds. Who cares what you got to say, kid? But really, like you have a whole new lens that I'm not seeing because he's introduced to the internet at a different time. He's introduced to the world views at a different time. He doesn't have the same like me and Jay are older, so we're like when I was younger, Instagram wasn't even a thing until we hit college. Really, Instagram wasn't as big until 2010, 2011, 2012. But like Facebook was new, but Landon grew up with it from the get-go, from the start. I mean, TikTok, really, like, that's all he has, and that's what they're about. And TikTok's new for us. I mean, we're, like, obviously, like, you're utilizing it as a musician, and we're utilizing it, but, like...
I avoid that shit like the plague. I want nothing to do with the tic-tac, unfortunately.
You should jump on board. It might help you. You never know.
That's one of those things where, like, you look at what the app is asking of you to get the largest results out of it. And I think some of these apps will ask you to consume at an inordinate rate to be a content creator. And to be totally transparent, I don't have time for that shit. I could be in the wrong for that, and maybe it'll take off without me. But you choose the things to focus yourself on. Like I promised myself I won't make videos for Instagram trends. I'm not going to sit here and try to follow someone else's idea of what's going to make me popular. Because I see friends do that. And it takes off, and now you're just
Diminishes,
you're just famous for trends, and that's that is something you will chase the rest of your life. Versus if I get big doing my thing, I don't have anything to worry about.
And that's smart too, because you don't want to chase the likes, bro. If you start chasing how many likes you get, it's a slippery slope, because you start looking at the wrong reasons to be successful, right?
Mhm.
Because
Plus the
if you
likes
if
are
you
real.
sit there and if you just take a couple steps every day and focus on you and what you're good at and double down on what you're good at, every couple days you take a couple steps forward. By the end of the week, by the end of the month, you're going to be a lot further than you think, man. That's what I always tell these guys. Like, it's not a home run, man. It's base hits every day.
Totally.
Base hits every day. And then, what we were talking about earlier, family, bro. Family's huge in the situation, man. Like, my mom, she's watching right now. She always watches the podcast. She's one of the few that tunes in the second that we start, and she watches it all the way to the end of it. And she's a fan. She's just like your parents, bro. She would drive me to Cleveland to play a show. She would drive me to Chicago if I needed something. Like this. Like, we're so lucky to have that type of structure on the back end, because that gave us the freedom to do what we want today.
Yeah.
Right? Like, my mom, bro, like there was a million times where she was like, "Look, you're so good at what you do, right? Like, why don't you just get a job at Procter and Gamble as a marketing person, right?" And it's like, "Look, I'm good at clothes. I'm good at designing, and I'm good at printing." Like, and oddly enough, I took the two things that my mom was good at designing. She did Adobe Illustrator before Adobe Illustrator was an actual program. So she would have to cut out a coffee. Like, I still remember this coffee mug advertisement she did, where she would have to, like, basically do clip art and then print out like a black and white coffee mug, and then cut it out with an X-Acto knife, and then glue it to an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and then type out the paragraph that she wanted, and then shrink it down, and then cut it out with an X-Acto knife, and then paste it, literally copy and paste, like for real copy and paste. And then once everything was on this 8.5 by 11 paper, then she would copy the whole paper back into the computer, and then they would my dad was a printer, so they would take the image that she just now created, and they would put it onto metal, and then from metal they print onto paper. So there was this whole process, and like, I was like 8 years old, like learning all this shit, like before Adobe Illustrator was even a program. So like, I took what my mom did, and all the Adobe Illustrator and all that shit, and I used it to make my own company. And then my dad's printing abilities, like, it's just what I've been brought up with, man. It's just like, and I didn't even realize it until like a year and a half ago that, like, holy shit, dude. Like, everything that I've been brought up on my entire life, I've just somehow took these things and just kind of mushed them together and created my own thing, and then told my mom and dad, like, when I was 20 years old, like, this is what I want to do. Get out of my way. Like, I want to be a clothing designer. Like you're not going to be a clothing designer. This shit, that is so fucking crazy. You're out of your mind to think you can do something like that. But
it's cool to be able to trace your ancestry in that, and like,
bro, to a T, it's one of my favorite parts of the story, is the fact that, like, I've nonchalantly taken everything that my mom and dad have done their entire lives, and like, my dad wanted me to be a printer. Like, I've worked in his warehouse, and he was a head manager of 144 employees, bro. So like, I've been there. I've done the sweat work, and I've done the whole nine, and it was just like, that's not me. But somehow, like, I just merged the two and then put them together, and then, like, I created this own idea that I have. But at the end of the day, if you break all that shit down, it's just what my mom taught me and what my dad taught me, bro.
Yeah,
literally.
And you know much better than I do. Both of you guys do what it means to be a father and to hope that your kids find their own in this life. But there's a moment of taking your hands off the wheel and just seeing where it goes based on what you've already kind of put into the system. Like, my parents were super supportive, but I was the youngest of 4 kids, so they were pretty preoccupied for a lot of my
Right.
childhood, understandably so. But I had a grandmother, my Nana, who said, he likes guitar. My husband liked the guitar. My son liked the guitar. She saw in other parts of my family. She said, I'll drive him to every lesson he ever needs to take. for
Incredible,
8 years of
bro.
my life. I would walk out in the parking lot and find this woman sleeping in a hot car. Just didn't, couldn't care less what she had to do.
Just waiting on her grandson.
Just waiting on me,
It's a
man.
true G, man.
And then she'd take me home. She'd say, "What'd you learn today?" And I'd have to play all that shit back to her.
Bro,
And
so what you